What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about the next generation of military leaders. And in doing so, I think it's a topic in talking with while we were waiting, I think it's something that all of you have a great amount of interest in based on your experiences back home, and also from what you've been able to see and do here in the United States as part of this course. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and start. Globalization is quite possibly one of the biggest paradoxes of the 21st century. The phenomenon that affords nation-states new opportunities to insist on political freedom, pursue and obtain new levels of economic prosperity, and utilize new information technologies might also be considered a double-edged sword when one considers the impact of national and transnational security. 20 years ago, the U.S. Army trained to an enemy that trained to fight just like we did. Soldiers, the warfighters, could be easily identified by the uniform and appearance. Professional militaries adhered to the laws of land warfare and maintained an esprit de corps that was recognizable in every nation. During that time, we existed in a state in which warfare was easy, almost predictable, albeit I use the word predictable through the lens of how a military leader defines predictable. Yet today, as the world gets flatter, and that's at least how Thomas Friedman analyzes it, protecting the global landscape has become increasingly difficult. Today, the enemy is not easily identified, nor is his influence easily contained. Nevertheless, military leaders still face the task of protecting nations, securing the land for our people, and advising civilian authorities on military matters. In addition to that, militaries are faced with the challenge of building strong partnerships and coalitions that will support the achievement of national and international goals. In order to do all this, current and future military leaders must adequately assess and accurately respond to transnational threats. They must not only be aware of the changing environment, but they must be flexible enough to respond appropriately. I would be remiss to attempt to explain the strategic environment of Africa to a group of African military officers who know firsthand the institutional issues as well as the causal inferences associated with security sector reform. However, if you will permit me, I will give you a glimpse of how United States Army Africa sees this strategic environment in Africa, what our ideas are on succeeding in the changing environment, and finally, the role the professional security leader plays in bringing it all together. The USARAF view of the strategic environment. The complexities faced by the nations of Africa, by the nations of the African continent are staggering. From the United States Army Africa perspective, political instability, illicit trafficking, kidnapping, corruption, poor infrastructure, displaced persons, and extremist activity across the continent are the biggest threats to transnational security. In addition to that, recent history teaches that the threats to security also include the cyber realm. Looking at cyber threats reveals that the proliferation of new information technologies allows enemies to enter virtual environments in order to cause havoc. Globalization shows that the ability to communicate effectively, either positively or negatively, can be a valuable asset in gaining support and expanding influence. In today's strategic environment, breaches to cybersecurity and social media can be a game changer. The ability to penetrate systems, steal or manipulate information, along with the power of influence of social media, cannot be underestimated. Social media tools like Twitter and Facebook provide opportunities for an enemy to quickly shape the environment and steal the narrative. It provides the enemy power and influence over anyone who will engage or be sympathetic to his cause. They can create networks that disseminate their message. Social media is often used as an outlet for the spread of radical ideas, as it provides an easily accessible medium to communicate with a global audience. Although communicating on social media may not necessarily be a problem, the reality of potential adversaries having access to this information might provide an opportunity to exploit the needs of young people in order to influence their thinking and behaviors. It is interesting to note that nearly 70 years after Maslow proposed his theory of human motivation, we still find that people, regardless of nationality, gender, and creed, are still motivated first by satisfying their needs. It may seem a little outside the lines of military strategy, but in actuality, the psychological role of human behavior as it relates to modern warfare will need to be considered in order to win. As vigilant security leaders, we must recognize the power of human behavior and learn to clearly communicate how military efforts do in fact support the needs and desires of the people, not just answer military strategy. In essence, we must learn to play the game by different rules. I'll talk more about the new rules and playing by them later. But for now, we must note that cyber and social media issues create vulnerabilities that allow the spread of violence and conflict. Deterring and defeating it calls for a new approach to security in the coming years. Clearly, the variety of threats poses too many risks to be ignored. We must think and act globally in order to employ successful strategies that prevent the proliferation of these threats, shape the environment in such a degree that threats are mitigated and long-lasting security is established, and finally, win the battles that are forged against us. We must also seize opportunities presented by globalization to build democracy. This is important to the international community. Now, to succeed in the changing strategic environment of the 21st century, land forces will successfully accomplish their mission through a unique combination of capable forces, adaptability, and strong partnerships. As those responsible for protecting the nation, it is important that armies are able to provide forces capable of performing multiple and multifaceted missions. This means it becomes increasingly important to that the capabilities of the force be developed. This is where United States Army Africa serves as a value-added partner on the continent. Over the last 2.5 years, United States Army Africa has conducted more than 400 theater security cooperation activities, exercises, and senior leader engagements. Every event is designed to build partner capacity in Africa. In today's strategic environment, the military must be adaptable. They must stand ready to conduct missions that run the gamut of countering violent extremist organizations, counterterrorism, efforts to peace support, peacekeeping operations, to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. The list seems huge, and to a developing nation in Africa, it might even sound insurmountable, but there is not really a need to worry if we embrace another reality of globalization, interdependence. People, nations, and regions cannot expect to succeed alone. The days of independent function may be long gone. Globalization has made the world more interdependent. We must find ways to cooperate with our partners in order to make our nations, our world safe, stable, and secure. The issues of stability and security are long-term and therefore require dynamic partnerships that contribute to building the capabilities needed to conduct missions. So here's my pitch on United States Army Africa. We are a theater army dedicated to supporting United States Africa Command and protecting U.S. interests, and we are in the business of helping African armies build their capacity to respond to and counter violent extremists, transnational threats, and other contingencies on the African continent. As a result of what we do, African land forces, and regional organizations are better able to contribute to global security and stability by effectively and efficiently addressing transnational threats. And while our goal is to conduct military operations and exercises that enable our partners to prevail in today's changing static environment, there is an important piece to that equation, and that piece is you, the military leader. So what can you do as military leaders? Future leaders must be flexible, adaptable, and available. The topic is so vast, I'll share a few do's and don'ts to support this. Do. Be adaptive as individuals, units, and institutions. The enemy you will face has learned and shared tactics, techniques, and procedures with each other. You have to do the same. A key thing to understand is technology is not the be-all, end-all solution. High technology solutions can be defeated sooner or later with new tactics or low-tech innovation. Create relationships with future coalition partners. Again, we see the theme of interdependence and partnership. Find common ground with your partners and work from there. Learn their strengths and weaknesses while showing them your standards. Leverage your advantages and deny the enemy his. If you have artillery, learn to use it in ways that deny the enemy options. The enemy's real advantage is information. He is not bound by international laws. Be nimble when he makes a mistake, and be nimble when you make a mistake. Assess your progress. How do you know if you're succeeding? Be sure to count the right things. Focus your measurement on things that indicate progress. Teach a man to fish. If you are working with a partner, resist doing things for yourself. Make your partners do the work because that is how you eventually succeed. Gain the support of the people. In the counterinsurgency fight, you are in competition with the enemy for the support of the people. In the past, we tried to break the will of our enemy, which is very hard to do now. Remember to speak to the needs of the people, connecting them to projects that empower and expand communities. For example, building roads. Remember to tap into the wealth of knowledge at the local level, i.e. the local leaders. Learn and understand police intelligence methods. Become an expert at link analysis, pattern analysis, modern interrogation, and use of informers. The enemy can usually come up with a simple way to defeat your high-tech solutions. An example of this would be the use of jammers prompted the use of simple wooden bicycle inner tube pressure plates. Instead, go after the network and capture the bomb maker in his lab or deny him the key supplies that he needs because defeating the device is very hard to do. By nature, insurgents may be creatures of habit. Every bomb maker has a signature, and it does help you identify the cells in your area. The commander must get out and understand the terrain, his forces, and the enemy. The commander who does battlefield circulation will be better informed and able to recognize opportunities and threats when they emerge. Resist relying solely on the technology in your command post and the reports of your subordinates to fight your battles. Build coalitions with the community. This is the local leaders, local people, fellow commanders, the interagency, NGOs, sheiks, mullahs, tribal leaders. Understand the conflict from their point of view. Don't underestimate the enemy. They get outside help. They have been learning from each other, and they follow no rules. They will surprise you. Don't be predictable. Routines will kill you. Have someone watch your routines to see if you're transmitting your intentions. Don't be in a rush either. Remember, the loss of a helicopter on your side is a strategic victory for the other side. You need to plan for conflict termination when you start the war, not near the end, because that is way too late to think about. What infrastructure do you need to destroy? What do you need to protect? How do you destroy a facility with putting it back into operation in mind? What do you do with your former enemies? Do you ban them? Do you disarm them? Do you persecute them? Do you reintegrate them? General Patton protected Heidelberg during the Second World War. The U.S. Air Force in Iraq bombed the Balad airfield. Don't forget that the enemy will surprise you. Don't get comfortable and keep alert for indicators and change. A new way of thinking of this, according to the recent review of Max Boot's Invisible Armies, an epic history of guerrilla warfare from ancient times to the present, shows that when considering how to address globalization on security issues, perhaps we can take some additional points from his recent work. If professional armies are going to decisively prevail against unconventional threats, they must embrace a few new principles. The first principle is to abandon conventional tactics. You cannot defeat an asymmetrical enemy by search and destroy. An army needs to provide sufficient security to the population for ordinary people to live their lives. The second principle is legitimacy. Corrupt or excessively violent governments will struggle, but so will similar acting guerrillas. Third is staying power. The people you need on your side must think you are in it for the long term. The fourth is convincing the population that the counterinsurgency fight is vital to their security. This is particularly apropos in that as our soldiers work across the continent of Africa, and as I engage leaders in various nations, we are witness to the work of rebels, insurgents, and terrorists. It seems that no country is immune to the efforts of extremist behavior. The recent Tuareg rebellion in Mali, the politically driven internal insurgency in Nigeria, along with Zambia's secessionist movement. Even the DRC's handling of a veritable alphabet soup of external and internal rebel groups. It is important to remember and to remind our audience that the counterinsurgency fight is bigger than Al-Qaeda. Another part of the equation is playing the game by their rules. Professional armies must leverage the power of social media to seize the narrative and shape the environment. Exercise control over the information environment through the skillful and strategic use of social media, blogs, and other information technology platforms, which allows a professional military leader to garner trust and support while continuing to execute standard military practices in defeating enemies. Finally, a professional army starts with professional leaders. The distinction between the profession and the professional are minute, but together prepare an army to effectively address the security challenges of the nation. The profession is based on values, service, trust, and expertise. A nation values its army because they trust its army stands in the service of the country and fully supports legitimate government. The professional has skill, character, a sense of duty, along with leadership abilities, all which engender a sense of trust. A nation trusts its army because it trusts the individuals that comprise the army. As military leaders in your nations, you must not only focus on security issues and how to defeat them, building strong regional and international relationships, but you must also give time and attention to ensuring the preservation of ethical leadership. As my final points, I'd like to highlight 4 components of ethical leadership. They are standards, discipline, moral courage, and accountability. I'll start with the latter. A system of accountability provides a basis for the others to exist. Standards range from conduct to dress. Standards range from conduct to dress to policies and procedures. Standards level the playing field and make it easy to operate fairly. Discipline, the practice of obeying the rules and displaying the proper conduct, is essential to the Army. Moral courage is required of the leader. It is the ability to stand for what is right regardless of the consequences. The leader that possesses moral courage will be disciplined and uphold standards both at home and when deployed. He will honor his oath at all times without the influence of his feelings. The ethical leader is a key player in addressing security challenges. In conclusion, the challenges facing the Army and Army leaders will continue to present themselves in new and often unpredictable ways. This is going to be the norm, but if we tailor the strategies presented here today to the specific needs and implement them effectively, our nations will be more secure places. Thank you.